Hello, my dears. This is Resilient Lives, beaming you a little joy before you begin your weekend. All is well here, and just in thinking about the upcoming weekend, that's a pleasant thought. It's a weekend to wind down or and do some of the things that might bring you joy, give you joy, huh? So I certainly hope that all of the noises and challenges in the world are not weighing heavily on your heart, and that you are continuing to do what you are often doing, which is to continue thriving and flourishing, to continue on that journey, because it is a journey and it's not over yet. But we're going to keep putting one foot in front of the other and make it happen. It seems like so many people I have spoken to over the last few days, a good majority of them are feeling overwhelmed and drained, and it is something that we have to keep an eye on. How are you feeling? This morning, I was slow to get out of the bed. It was probably related to the fact that I couldn't get to sleep. And I couldn't believe that I couldn't get to sleep because I was tired. Go figure. But I eventually got up and I thought about my routine at night. Usually, one of the things that I do is to plug in all my gadgets. I plug in my phone that stays on pretty much most of the time. I plug in my iPad, my AirPods, all my gadgets, so that I can be ready for the next day. And if we're in the middle of a storm or whatever during the day, and there's a danger of there being a power outage, I always make sure that my gadgets are charged. And I thought, isn't that interesting? Because I'm so concerned with my gadgets, but what about me? It sounds like something a little kid would say, but what about me? And I think that's what my body was saying. What about me? So I need to be recharged. I need to look at all those things that are draining or depleting my energy and figure it out. So it is interesting that in order to recharge myself, I probably need to unplug myself from a lot of my device activities. That's probably one of the things I need to unplug, untether myself from. I probably also need to look at anything else that right now is draining and negative, like maybe the TV, the news, but whatever it is so important that we withdraw because these are some really, really serious times. And I know that you know it. There's no way you can get away from it. I might not have the TV on, but across my phone, a CNN app will come and let me hear the dire news of what's happening. And so I just want you to know that you're loved and we are caring for one another virtually. And we just want to make sure that each other, that we are being heard, that someone knows how you're feeling, how you're doing, but we have to do a little self-care ourselves. And that's a necessary skill that we have to employ in managing ourselves, managing the change in our lives so that we're not screaming. And so what can we do about this? I know I today drove through the Arboretum. I hadn't been there yesterday, and I noticed the barrenness. We are definitely in a different season. You know, I go to the Arboretum, and it is a delight, whether the daffodils are blooming and looking exquisite, or whether the leaves are changing the colors and they're exquisite. And today I noticed that the Arboretum is setting up all these beautiful lights for something they call illumination, which means that this year they will do it a little differently, but people will be able to drive through the Arboretum, and there will be different lights and on trees and bulbs, and it will be a delight. I'm sure in most cities there is something, either zoo lights, and so that's something to consider that might bring you joy, and you can probably do it virtually. But just the thought of something that is going to bring me joy, I mean, is something that I have to pause and hear myself. And so I made sure I turned off the music, and I'm hearing and I'm seeing nature. We must focus on recharging every day would be great. But we don't want to wait until we are totally depleted, because it takes too much energy sometimes to refill our cup. So as we prepare to go into these different holidays, you know, how we're going to do Thanksgiving, how we're going to do the day before, how we're going to construct the plan, how we're going to look at unplugging so that we can recharge, is something that we want to give a lot of thought to, because we are important. You are a gift. You are a gem. The life you live impacts others. And I know we are in this together. Healing is together. Together is healing. So there's just so much going on. I'm focusing on the positive, yet I know that on the one hand, the negative is closing in. Sometimes it feels like, because people are dying, and these are not things that we can ignore. But the one thing that we can do is take care of ourselves. And so I'm going to do it. How about you try it? And if you need a little help, reach out to that vital friend. We've got to stay woke. And by that I mean, for me, I was dragging to get out of bed, but even when I was up, I was on autopilot. I was like, oh, but when something joyful came into my mind, and then I was energized. And so every day, because the journey right now is a trying one. Thomas Paine, I'm sure I've mentioned that before, said years ago about these are the times that try men's souls. They try every part of you. My heart aches for those who have lost loved ones. I'm saddened to see the people who are suffering. But I have joy in my heart to know that you're on this journey with me, and you are taking care of yourselves, and you're observing the protocols. And so stay safe. And remember, we will need to unplug from our gadgets and the things that deplete our energy so that we can recharge ourselves, so that we can be ready for whatever that will happen. We'll be ready. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk again.